Okay, our special guest tonight is Teresa Rook, um, who coaches our U13 girls Lanco team.
Yep.
And her past experiences, as I was looking through her resume, is really quite impressive. So the first thing I want to ask you is, how and when did you get interested in soccer? And does anyone else in your family when you're growing up, did they play soccer at all too?
Yeah, I think I started at an early age, around 4 or 5. My brother was 3 years older than me, so I wanted to do everything he did. He ended up playing all throughout, up to high school. My dad played at Lehigh. He was the president of our local soccer club for a while. So yeah, we've always been a soccer family.
It's nice. I was looking at your highlights from Conestoga Valley. I didn't realize you were such an impressive player. First of all, you were an All-American, but you're 4-time All-State. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Wow. How about describing your high school experiences? I know when I talk to my ex-high school players, and they went on to D1 colleges, D2, D3, they often say the best time I ever had was playing high school soccer. What was your experience like?
I loved my high school experience, but I had an amazing college. So I was fortunate enough to have a great experience in both places. But yeah, a lot of friendships on the soccer field at CV. My club team was separate, but a lot of great relationships that grew out of the club soccer during the high school years as well. But we moved up from section 2 into section 1 my senior year. So we were the big dogs that year, and we ended up winning the section. So that was a real big highlight from my high school days.
That's nice. Now you mentioned club soccer too. Now I know you played for the Pennsylvania Strikers, and with Dave Shaw and Jim McLaughlin were your coaches.
Yeah.
They were a unique team, not just because they were so successful, but I know how much you traveled, and it was special playing for that team. Could you describe that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Dave Shaw created this amazing opportunity for players. We traveled far just for practice. I know some players traveled 2.5 hours we practiced up at the fields at Eastern University, and we traveled all across the country for games, showcases, tournaments, and these were girls from all different high schools playing all different times. So it was amazing to get all those best players together in one place to play club ball and have a lot of success.
I can remember a time I was in Florida watching a 3v3 tournament, and his team was down there. I don't know if you were playing for them or not, but he opened up a portion of Disney World for the players that night. And I was lucky enough to be invited. Did you have any experiences like that?
Yes. He somehow would get us into a show and shut down an entire ride for a little while for our group. We would go during the holidays. So we were there on New Year's, and we'd have fireworks. And yes, it's definitely unique opportunities that he created. Jim coached and Dave coached, and we traveled all together, and it's just, what they wanted to do for us. So it was very.
I was always jealous of you guys. I couldn't imagine having experiences like that. Now, I saw you play basketball in high school too. Did you play all 4 years?
No, we'll leave the basketball playing years out. No, that was just for fun. We joke that I was a defensive specialist, but really I would come in for a couple minutes, maybe try to steal the ball and then get taken back out. So, those were just for the high school relationships. I was athletic, but not a basketball player.
So would you recommend to young girls who are really focused on soccer just to play one sport or experience some time with other sports also?
Yeah, I think it's great to cross train and have other sports. I played field hockey at one time. I was a pretty serious swimmer for a while there. But I think it's important to note at some point, probably middle school, leading into high school, that you need to decide, what sport you're going to focus on. Because if I were to be missing, my soccer practices for basketball, which wasn't my main priority or sport, I probably wouldn't have grown as much as I did with soccer. So I had an understanding with basketball coaches and other sport coaches that soccer did come first.
It's interesting. How about your recruiting process that you went through? How did you decide to go to James Madison, and what other schools were pursuing you, and what made you choose James Madison?
Wow, I had never heard of James Madison. I mean, I've heard of the president, but the school. And I got a letter from Coach Lombardo and thought, I don't think I'm gonna go to this school, but I'll go visit, we'll check it out. I fell in love with it. It came down to 4 different schools that I was looking at. Ohio State and JMU were the final 2. West Virginia and Wake Forest were the other ones. So, James Madison was in the weaker conference of all 4 of those. But I chose the school because they were competing for a conference championship every year. And I was told that I would be an impact player as soon as I got there. And I wasn't hearing those same types of things, even though, I was offered positions on the other team. It didn't feel as right. And I wanted to play. I didn't want to go to school and, sit the bench for 2 years and see what happened. And it worked out at JMU.
Yeah, I was just shocked to see your resume there. 3rd team All-American, Herman Trophy finalist, first team NSCAA Scholar All-American. It's pretty impressive. So you're really a true role model for a lot of kids. But how did you balance academics and soccer at a D1 school?
Well, I think a lot of young girls, young athletes look at Division I and think they don't want the commitment. I've heard that from players of my own. But when you're given the sport with the academics, like you're held to a certain standard, and they really help you with it. Like my freshman year, you had to put 8 hours in the study hall. You checked in. There's tutors available. There's people there to help you along. And so if you were falling behind, they're there to support you. But I think that athletes are used to managing everything. And when you have the sport, it's just something that goes along with, okay, I'm going to classes. I have this amount of time to get my work done, and I need to plan 4 hours of my day, for the sport. And I think it just all rolls in together. It's nothing to be scared of, the time commitment. But you just learn how to balance it, and there's a ton of support there for you.
Were there times, though, you ever felt bad about things because you missed a concert or a party because you were playing soccer, or you had to wake up early the next day to work out?
Yeah, I never was on that limo to that special homecoming dance. I did get to a prom or 2. But yeah, you miss things because of the sports, but you have those relationships and those experiences and those memories you're creating within the sport. And I think, for me, that was more valuable than the school dances or the things. So it's just every athlete and person needs to decide what's, most important to them. And if they're willing to miss some of those social events or gatherings or late nights, for their commitment of the sport. So I'm okay with the things I missed out on, but yeah, it's definitely something that happened.
Yeah, it's funny. Sometimes I hear complaints about D1 athletes saying, "Oh, I'm missing this weekend. They're doing this, and we have to go to a tournament." It's crazy.
Yeah.
It must have been exciting though when you got the Herman Trophy finalist list that you were on it. That's a huge honor.
That was definitely something that was, I guess, unexpected, but I was very proud to be on that list because there are a lot of incredible athletes on that list. It might have been Kristen Press my year that ended up getting the player of the year. I'm pretty sure that we're the same age, and so I'll be in that party of people. Yeah, that was pretty neat to be on.
So I saw how many assists you had through your career. It's an incredible number. What do you attribute your style of play that contributes to the assist you set up? Field vision?
I would say it's a lot of things. It was people finishing the balls that I was playing. that counts for something. It definitely had to be some forwards or outside backs coming forward on the ends of those. But but yeah, we played a 4-4 or 4-3-3 most of our years together, and I had a very attacking role, and I had wonderful holding center mids that held their space, won the ball, played it off to us attacking mids, and I was able to just be creative and create from that number 10 role. And I enjoyed it, and I was surrounded by really great players that helped me get all those assists.
Who was the coach then?
Dave Lombardo.
Okay. Good relationship with him and good coach?
Yeah. Wonderful coach, like a second dad, was at my wedding. He started the program and created this wonderful opportunity for me, to go to school and develop me as a player. And he's no longer with the program. He retired, it might be 3 years ago now. So going back is a little bit different because I like to stay, in touch and go watch and, keep up with everything that's going on. But he definitely created a great program for a lot of girls to come through and play and have success there.
Did your family come down and watch your games?
Every weekend.
Every weekend?
Yeah, it was mostly every other weekend that we had home games, and then they'd get on the road, to close games. So we played Delaware, we played Towson, places that are closer to Lancaster. Some of the far trips, they only made one out of, the 2 times that we went. But yeah, they were there quite often, but they were far enough that they weren't driving there every night. They just came for the games, and then they'd
Really?
drive back home. Yeah.
That's great support.
Yeah.
I know when you graduated, did you start playing, you still playing soccer after graduation?
Yes, I was actually drafted into the NWSL when there was just 6 teams my senior year. I trained with the Philadelphia team for about a month. Wasn't offered a position. And there had been an opportunity that had been discussed previous to getting drafted in Canada with the Ottawa Fury in the W League. So I thought about, okay, I could, maybe possibly go overseas. There was an agent I spoke to, but I decided to go up to Canada, which was a semi-pro, amateur league. For the summer, and then after that I went off to Europe for 2 separate seasons to play.
What part of Europe?
I was in Sweden, Borlänge, with a team called Kvarnsveden or Kick, and then I knew I wouldn't be doing it for too long because I did have a teaching career that I wanted to get into at some point. So I went to Iceland for 1 season in near the capital, called my teammates over there now would hope they would laugh at me, but Hafnarfjordur was the town I lived in and the team I played for. FH is easier. But then after that, I ended up doing another season in Canada for the summer, and then went to grad school, and I'm teaching, and the rest is history.
What was your major education when you were at James Madison?
Yeah, it was early childhood education.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay. Well, give me some experience that you had in Europe that was memorable, or something somebody would like to hear about.
One game in Sweden, we were, so far north. We were playing in a snowstorm, couldn't see from one side of the field to the other. Never been so cold in my life. Another game, we went up north and flew, when we landed, there was, reindeer out. It's just learning different people and different cultures. And I experienced, I had roommates that had played for other colleges from the United States, but for the most part, they were players that lived in those countries. Everything was a great traveling the country, seeing new things. Everything was wonderful.
So Iceland has a reputation of developing players. Their organization skills, I'm sure, are pretty good. I think I just lost you. There you are.
Sorry.
Did they put the same effort with the women too in Iceland as they do with the men?
I don't think their women's side was as strong. I played in the first the top league there, but it was a team that had been moving between the first and second levels. So that was why they were looking to bring, American or foreign players over to help keep them in that top level. So it's definitely, something that I wasn't used to. I wasn't used to losing a lot of games. So that was definitely something that I had to, mentally prepare for and deal with, coming from teams, fortunately, that had a lot of success. So, my goal when I was there was just about, development and helping their program. And I was one of the, I guess, older, more experienced players, I would say. So just helping as much as I could. I was there for a job, and it was to help them be better. So that's the goal.
Did you just spend a season there, or did you actually spend the whole year?
Well, the season was about 6 months. So I
Okay.
mean, it was, I guess it was 2 separate seasons there, but there's just a short break in between. So the one in Sweden was about 8 months, and the one in Iceland was about 6. They run from March to September.
Do you still stay in contact with your teammates from Iceland and Sweden?
Yeah, I have a couple of friends from each country. I even have a really close friend that was in my wedding that was on my rival team in Sweden, and she's from Australia. So I got to create a lot of, unique, awesome relationships all over the world.
Have you been back there since leaving?
No, I would like to. I would like to definitely go back and visit, and I think I'll have some, places to stay and new places to visit, since I wouldn't be playing full time. But I would definitely go.
Maybe we can get an ODP trip over there and set up for you.
I am totally down for that.
Okay. I know Gary's listening right now, so he'll jump on that. But now you're playing for Lancaster Inferno, right?
I am. Mm-hmm.
And did you have a little bit of gap time between Europe and playing for the Inferno?
No, every year is my last year. That's what I've been saying for several years now. So in 2014, I played in the W League in Ottawa, and I came home and I was done. And then in 2015, I played Inferno. I took 1 year off the year I got married. It was a busy summer, and have been playing ever since. In 2018 and 19, we went to the national, championship. We were up in Alberta, Canada, for our one in 2019, playing against Tasha Kai. She was playing for the LA team, so it's still creating experiences, but, I'm definitely in a different phase of my life. I'm playing with these young up and coming kids that I've coached. But the season, we have tryouts this Sunday, so it's go time.
I was going to mention that. Inferno have tryouts, and make sure people attend.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you, what grade do you teach? Second. How's teaching through the pandemic been for you?
Well, I've been very fortunate. We're in school every day, full week. I feel fortunate and for the kids, but they're masked, and there was a week and a half leading up to the Christmas break that we did go virtual, and I see their faces, and it's different. You can hardly tell what they look like. So it is great that we're in school, but you're missing a huge social piece of it. Like, I have all the kids spread out, and we're doing what we can, but I think they're learning, and I think they're happy that they're in school. So just doing what we can.
In a sense, though, you're pretty lucky compared to a lot of school districts in Pennsylvania who still haven't gone back to the classroom.
Absolutely. I like I said, I definitely feel fortunate to be there, because I like to teach. I want to be around the students, and not just through a computer. So I'm lucky.
It's funny you brought that up, how much you like to teach. I mean, if you had the chance to change anything in your life, would you take a full-time job as a coach, or you just enjoy the teaching aspect of what you're doing in your life?
I'd still teach.
Yeah, I find it strange sometimes that so many people want to become coaches and neglect the daytime positions they should have too. Now, I was a teacher also, and I wouldn't give up my teaching experience for anything. state championships, all that kinds of stuff. I had more fun in the classroom, and I get a pension now, so I'm
Yeah.
happy about it.
They're different kinds of fun for sure. And the pension will be nice.
So you're balancing teaching, club coaching, ODP coaching. Is it difficult?
It's busy. I wouldn't say difficult. If it was too difficult, I would, wouldn't do it. It's definitely busy. You got to stay organized. I enjoy it. I enjoy being busy.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of girls, I'm sure, who aspire to do what you have done. What message would you give them to be successful or to reach their goals?
I mean, you have to be hardworking. You have to set goals and set out a plan to accomplish them. Things aren't just going to be handed to you, given to you, drop into your lap. So definitely hard work, and you can say you want a lot of things, but taking those steps, and if you don't have the knowledge to go to the next level or the next step or get what you want, you reach out and you ask for help and work hard.
Yeah, I understand the Inferno is setting up a D license, an all-woman D license,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to be part of it.
I am.
Is it your goal to go further education-wise with soccer?
I love learning. I think I'm at a point in my life now where it's been a while since I've taken my last license, and it's always important to grow. And I think that I'll benefit from it. All the players that I'm coaching will benefit from it. I'm still taking grad classes. I have a master's in education, but constantly continuing to grow. So I balance it out. So I'm not going to take the D course when I'm taking grad classes. I did them in the fall, so have I wouldn't say extra time, but I made some space for that for this spring.
It's great. How about with your ODP coaching? This is maybe a message to the parents because they always complain. What are you looking for when you're looking at players to identify them for your ODP team?
So I definitely look for things that make players unique. Like I said about getting what you want, hard work is so valuable to me. I had teammates in college that were not the most skilled. They weren't the most tactical player, but they worked so hard. And if they lost the ball, they'd be the first one to win it. So I definitely look for players that are just going to work their tails off. I do look for players that are going to try things like try a move if they have something that they can do that makes them stand out. And I like players that talk. Now, not just talking to talk on the field, but just being productive, encouraging, listening to instructions and knowing what's going on as soon as I give the drill or whatever we're doing. So hard work, something that stands out, talking, communication, paying attention.
Was soccer always fun for you from the very
Yeah.
beginning? Okay, I think that's important too.
Yeah.
And how about your parents? Did they put any pressure on you when you were playing when you were young? Especially your dad, since he was a player.
Yeah. And I can't discredit my mom because I know she'll watch this. She coached me at U6. Thank you, Mom. She lugged the goals out. I wouldn't say pressure. They were both very supportive. I knew when my dad didn't think I did as much as I could in a game because he didn't say anything. But no, they were just supportive, and they came to games and they cheered and were happy that I was happy playing. They're pretty easy.
Were they pretty happy about driving you down to Eastern for practice?
They didn't mind, but at that point I was getting my license, so they were also happy to let me go on my own.
Yeah, that's great. Listen, I don't know how to thank you so much. I really think for our young players, you're the perfect role model. I mean, you've done it all. You have no regrets. I think your goal of teaching and playing is just unbelievable. So I was real happy to have you. I look forward to seeing you. Anything you want to say about anything?
I appreciate you having me on here. I love coaching these young ladies, and I look forward to getting back on the field and seeing all the work they've put in their time off. And I appreciate you having me.
Thanks, Teresa. You were a special guest.
All right, thank you.
See ya.
Bye.